Hello folks, so this is going to be a review of the civil set from Ross Technology, and we have some questions that we're going to be hunting down, but we'll do a review first. So let's see, civil set, here are the questions. I think I've already got them open. There they are, and we've got 15 questions to answer from the civil set. You will also be doing a little surveying exercise, which I will do a separate video on. So that's going to pertain to this second assignment that's due for this week based off of just surveying and interpreting contour lines a little bit better. So we will circle back to this after. All right, so let's take a look at what we have. Go to my Bluebeam view here of the set, and let's make this as big as we can make it. And we're just going to take a look at what we have first of all. So the first page in the set is our existing conditions. So what existing conditions mean is what was going on the site prior to the construction of Ross Technology Building. So these are no longer the existing conditions. And if you look at this, it's kind of a little history lesson of what happened here on campus between the years of 2002 and now. If you're familiar with the campus and been on campus, Pickett Street is where we approach. There's the marina is over here, and there's Broadway right there. And so we go on Pickett Street, and this is now a big student parking lot. And right here is the Spring Point Residence Hall. And across the way we have a tavern, I think, still. And then there's some more parking across the street now. And then we have Phil's Foreign Auto and the Subaru dealership or used car dealership over here. So if that kind of gives you orients you to where we are. Hague building and the three-story health science building did exist at the time. At the time, we did not have the Spring Point residence hall. We had a residence here with a little detached garage. Same thing here. There was a residence with a little detached garage. So now a lot has changed since then. So these existing conditions are from several years ago, probably around 2001 or 2000 when the survey was done. And we can find out when the survey was done. It will be written somewhere in the set of plans and who did the survey. So what these existing conditions are showing is what was there before the start of construction, and what kind of tests or preparation will need to be made in order to allow us to build this building in this new location. So there was a structure that was there before that needed to be removed. There's another building that was attached to Hague that was a dilapidated building that needed to be removed. And then there's some soil bearing tests that are happening here. That helped inform us in the structural set. Remember, we looked at what the soil bearing capacity was. That was based off of these boring tests. And it gives us some information about contour lines, meaning, what's the change in elevation that we're having here? How flat is this grade? How much are we going to have to excavate or be concerned about erosion? And so it also gives some indication of what needs to happen to prepare for the site construction. So they're talking here about clearing the trees and the shrubs and things like that, and placing riprap along the embankment. They're actually removing the riprap right now because this is all going to change in order to not have things erode into this this street here that is a one-way street now. I think it was a one-way street then too, right next to the marina and between the now existing Ross Technology. So there's a lot that has to happen to prepare for a new construction, and the civil plans deal with all of the earthwork and exterior utilities and connections that need to be made to that building. But we first have to assess what's there now and what do we have to do to prepare for that. Second page is our site layout plan. So the site layout is exactly what it seems like it is. It's, where's the parking going to go? If there's going to be some lighting, where is that going to go? Is there signage? Is there, curbing, things like that. So that's showing all that information. So we have typical standard size parking spaces here. So we got 7 spaces at 9 feet equals 63 feet across from where the supposedly the crosswalk was supposed to be and here. So it's telling you how many cars can we fit here, how many cars can we fit here. Based off the occupancy, we have to show a certain number of handicap spaces, and that's what this is doing here. And then in the original set of plans, there was going to be a little break between the upper and the lower lots here, with some steps provided down to that lower level. And we're going to take a look at how different the actual site plan ended up being laid out. If you do even Google Earth the space, you're going to notice that a lot of the stuff that was supposed to have happened did not happen. All this curbing, for instance, that was supposed to be an area to grow plants and things in the center got removed because we recognized quite frugally that it was going to cost a lot of money to be something that would get destroyed after maybe 2 main winters in plowing. So this was going to be a plowing nightmare. So we got rid of all that and actually gained quite a few more parking spaces because of making that decision. A lot of these extra lights that are supposed to be put in the future. So this symbol for the light, notice, is different than this symbol that's shown here. So this is a new light, meaning it's going to be installed at the time that the building is being built. And those 2 lights do exist out in front of the building, but these lights are called future light poles, which means that they had a plan to put these lights in place after. I don't know what future is. I would assume future would mean within the next year, but those never got placed. Instead, because none of this curbing got put in place. Maybe one of these other light fixtures got put in place, but quite a few of the others did not. So that's the difference between those 2 symbols. And what else do we have? We have these hexagonal symbols that are showing up, which is, I believe, signage. We have a legend, a little bit of a legend showing up right here, standard new sign legend, and curb abbreviations. So the curb abbreviations just tell us what kind of, what kind of curb is it going to be. This GC stands for granite curb. Expensive curbs. They would have lasted a bit longer, I guess, since they weren't going to be asphalt tar curbs, but they were going to be a plowing nightmare, so they just did not end up doing any of this stuff. But this is all the signage that needs to be placed in order to give people directions or signs that are required, stop signs and things like that. And so those are listed on the plans with those hexagonal symbols so that we can find out what's being placed there. So that's the site layout. So you can see it's got a lot of general information about what's going to be placed outside to create the traffic routes and things like that, and create parking for that building. The second new plan is a site grading and erosion control plan, and this is where we actually address the issue of the fact that we've got a building up here that's up at a higher level with lower level areas here that could be affected depending on how we grade around the building and design a proper erosion abatement system, and also design proper drainage around this. So it's not allowed to be draining or have a lot of runoff into your neighbor's property. So this property line that we see right here is actually the marina's property line. This is the marina property, and this is the school property over here. So if we were not careful about paying attention to how the effect of adding this building is going to change the direction, the location of where water runoff and things like that are going to happen, we would be maybe doing some harm to our neighbor's yard. So we need to make sure we're designing new catch basins. We have a drainage system, and we're addressing all of those issues to make sure that we don't have a problematic result based off of all the disturbing, the stuff we've been disturbing the earth for creating this building. So anytime a new building, a new structure is going up adjacent to it, and anything else, even if it's adjacent to just wetlands or reserved property, it needs that kind of stuff needs to be addressed to make sure that it's not doing any harm. Okay, so that's the kind of information we're seeing on here is elevations. So these points, these X's, are showing us points where the elevation, the actual elevation from sea level was measured. So this is indicating that we're at 24.8 feet above sea level here on this side of the building. We're hoping to achieve a 24.9 foot above sea level around this side of the building. And this side is staying at the same. But then you can see that we're dropping dramatically from that. The distance between these contour lines tells you how quickly and how steeply this change in elevation is happening. So we're moving from 24.9 feet down to 15 feet in a very short distance. So that's telling you that's really steep, and it's sloping down very quickly. So because of that, we have shown here a retaining wall that's holding up the earth that's up at this higher elevation over here, because we have to be at this lower elevation. That 12.20 feet we see is the height of the slab. We saw that same number shown in the structural plan. That's the actual sea level height of this finished 4-inch slab in the basement. And 12 feet is the height of the stoop or the curb on our way in. So we step up 0.7 feet, which would be somewhere around 8 inches or so, step up into our finished lower level, ground level location. So this is down at the lower level, the lowest level in the building, and we're up here at the finished grade level for the first floor level up all the way around the rest of the building. So on this side, this street over here is up much higher than this one, and we're changing. We're seeing that slope happen right here. So we're at a 27 foot above sea level here, and it's going down to 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20 feet, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, and then we're all the way down to 12 feet down here. So that's a much more gradual slope than this, but it's still pretty steep for a roadway. So this is going to get kind of pretty slick in the winter if we have a lot of runoff here. We don't want to let a whole lot of water runoff go down this road and then build up a sheet of ice. It's going to make it difficult to get up and down. So this is the other reason for that erosion control. So that's how you read this. And you can see how, you know, how much the grade is changing around the building and what's going on to address that. Okay, next we have the site utilities plan. So utilities would be water, electrical, sewer, are pretty much it. So let's see what we have. We have, let's just start right here, new let's see. This is new underground utility for the lights. We'll have to find out with new underground drainage, maybe. That's probably what it is, right? Because it's connected to a culvert. And we have new storm drains, NSD. N is always new. New underground drain connecting to the storm drain. That makes sense. And then we have over here, new underground electrical. And new underground electrical that's coming from going to the existing Hague building. This is a new transformer where basically all the power is being directed from the underground electrical to this transformer for both buildings. So this was improved when this new Ross Technology building was added to Hague it was increased in size and improved to allow for enough electricity to be supplied to both buildings. And so we have new underground electrical going into Ross technology here, like that. And then this is showing where the new underground electrical is coming up and then connecting to the transformer. So that's our utilities. So our utilities are including drainage, so stormwater. It's including water. So this is our new water line by others. So that means that the water line is not being done by the contractors within this project, but are being done by, as either will already be done by the time this building is being built, or it being taken care of based off of another project. So that new water line, there's our connection to the new water line going into Hague. And then I believe in our plumbing plans, we see that new water line coming from Hague and going into the basement area as our new water line into that space. This is another approximate location for an existing water line. So what I'm assuming is we've got our new water line. Yep, there's a branch coming off of that existing water line right there. And it's connecting and capped here, somewhere around here. And then that's providing our new water into the Ross technology. And so that's what utilities mean. So let's take a look at this. This is our, this tells us information of when the survey was taken. So we have topographic and boundary surveying the information for Southern Maine Technical College. That's what we were called then. In South Portland, was prepared by Owen Haskell in Portland, Maine on September 1st, 2000. So the existing conditions we saw drawn on a couple pages before were recorded in the fall of 2000. And then we have some interesting, notes about the catch basins and the fact that we got to verify site and test pits for locations. Just giving us an indication of some of the requirements that we have for sewer lines and under drains, and coordinating work with utilities with the road companies in town and department, and DigSafe. And yeah, so that's just kind of giving us some general information about how we want to deal with the utilities and who's in charge and who we have to talk to, or what needs to be in place before we get started on that work. This is our first set of details, and I do want to point something very important out. This is unusual. This is actually your legend, and it is a pretty tight space to set a legend into, but I did want to point it out because it does have the indication of the new and the future light poles. We were looking at where those test boring test pits are. That those are the symbols that we see for soil boring test pits. So this is kind of your spot to look for where what all the symbols mean in the civil set. It's a little bit what is the word, unconventional to do it this way, because we have symbols being shown on this side and on that side, and we have the existing and the proposed. So this is what this symbol looks like in existing. This is what this symbol, the building, will look like for any new construction, and that's how to read this. So this is all what the items are, but this is just showing the difference between how it's going to look if it's in existing or how it's going to look if it's proposed. And it makes sense that we would not have examples of soil boring test pits over here in proposed, because it's not something we would do during the proposed portion of the build set. It's something we do before to find out what we can build on that site. So that's why it shows up only on existing conditions. So that's that is important to know where that is on page TC 50.1 to reference in case you don't know what an abbreviation is or whatnot. We always try to look for those legends. And the last page in the set just has the last few details that show curbing details, which didn't end up being drawn anyway. Let's see. Looks like we've got this probably was done because those are concrete pads for the transformer, the new transformer that was added by the Hague and Ross Technology Building. We go to the first set of details. We have some details for the light pole bases. None of this happened because, again, we didn't do any of the curbing. We do have areaway drainage that happened in the areaways where we have the intake for the mechanical. And we didn't end up doing a stair and a railing anywhere between those parking lots like that was intended. It just stayed a berm basically. So some of these details that are shown here, they were here with the intent of those things being done with this project. But if you are ever on site, to be able to actually see what was done compared to what was proposed in here, you'd see there would be a lot of differences. So this just details and outlines what exactly and how are we doing these things everywhere that as needed. So there's only a couple of pages of details in the civil set, and most of it is just the site plan and layout. All right, so let's take a look at the questions and see what we can find. So the first one is refer to the civil pages of the Technology Center, and we want to identify what existed in place of where the technology building is now. So we want to look at that existing conditions, that very first page, and what did exist in that location where the Ross Technology is now. So we can flip back and forth between this page, which is the site plan layout. There's where Ross Technology is now, in current times, but this is where it was being proposed. And when we look to see what's there before we put the Ross Technology building there was this building that needed to be removed, and then another building that needed to be removed by owner. So it looked like there were a couple of existing buildings that needed to be removed. And other than that, nothing else, just some soil, right? Nothing else needed to catch basin, things like that. So what's the next question is what existed in place of where the Spring Point Residence Hall is now? So you have to know a little bit about where, the campus now. If you haven't been on the campus, let's go ahead and take a look at Google Maps, for instance. And we'll do a street view of what's there now. And here we are, Hague Ross Technology Building. I'm just going to put myself right here at the corner. And we are looking at the Spring Point Spring Point Light Residence Hall right over here. There's the student parking lot that's here now, and you can see from looking over, there is no set of stairs that gets us to the upper and the lower lots between here and here. So there's that walkway that was supposed to be there, and the set of stairs were supposed to be here. There are the two new light posts, but we don't see any light posts along this edge here. So to answer this question, I guess I'm kind of getting off topic, but and actually, this looks like this was taken a little while ago because it looks like there's some construction still going on here. So this was taken back when this was still being built. But what was over here was that little building. Which is a little residence right here, a two-story wood residence and a wood garage. So that's what we're going to put there. So two-story wood res with detached garage. I'm assuming that's a detached garage, a wood garage, right? All right. There are symbols in the area of the now existing tech building that are labeled B1 through B9. What do those symbols signify? So let's go over there to that area. There's B1. Where is it? There's B2. So where was the first bearing test? B1 right here. So bearing test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all the soil bearing tests, which we discovered by looking at our second to last page in the set that shows us that those symbols that we see on that existing conditions are soil boring test bits. So B1 through B9 are soil boring test pits. Identify at least 3 of the differences between the site layout and the existing conditions. So what changed, in other words? So let's go to our existing conditions. We're just looking at what are 3 things that changed out of, I mean, besides the obvious ones. So what is here now? So we have existing pavement. So this must have been parking lot or something before. We had a 2,000 gallon abandoned underground oil tank. That's an interesting find. We have a removal of a light pole, remove water meter. We have to remove bollards. Bollards are concrete posts basically that protect your building for where trucks pull up and drop off deliveries. So those are some of the things that were there before and that we had to make changes to. Some other changes are that we no longer have, if we wanted to go to changes compared to now and then, we can also go to that Google Maps site and see what was different about the actual to the site layout. So if we're comparing it from the existing conditions from then to now to what happened, or what was proposed. Let's do it that way first. From then in 2000, when the survey was done, to proposed in 2002 when this building was supposed to be built, the differences are that we removed the pavement and laid out curbing and added some new light posts. So let's just mark some of those things. We have new lights. And I'll put 2000 to 2002 proposed. New lights, parking, walkways, and curbing. Just to be in general, what's the difference between those 2 sites, okay? New transformer. And then I'm going to put a new note here because I just find it interesting. From 2002 to now, what's the difference? So this is where we compare this site plan right here to that Google Earth or Street View. So there is a parking lot now where there used to be a 2-story family residence. So parking. 2 houses removed. And then the Spring Point Lighthouse. So one of the things that some of you may end up being exposed to or having to do in your industries or in your field is to get what are called as-built conditions. So as-built conditions are not always the same as the actual built conditions. So this is an example of doing that, where we're actually comparing what's there for the site right now compared to what was supposed to be done. So if we go back and forth and look at the site plan, none of this curbing is there. None of that was done. These lights were not put in place. We go back and look, there's no lights there in the center. None of that curbing is there. This walkway with the stairs is not there. So those are the differences between the proposed and the actual built conditions. So as built or current conditions are really, really important in the field, because we just looked at, they're not always going to be exactly the same as what the most recent documentation of the building plans might be. So a verification of what is actually there as opposed proposed to what was proposed is an important step in any kind of new or renovation of construction. So one of the things that I do a lot of is have to take a set of plans like this, go onto a site and do this kind of cross-referencing and verification. So let's go to the side of the building here, and we'll see if none of those lights were added. There's the original light post, and we have a walkway with no curbing. And then I think if we look at this, what's going on here for the set of stairs, I kind of jumped a little bit too far ahead. And what's going on here as opposed to what's going on in the site, we have, there's a step here in our actual built conditions, but there's no step being shown in this. And we were supposed to have some new lights. So there's a lot that's not the same here. Also, let's take a look at this side of the building and see if we can see these areaway windows. And you're going to notice that those aren't there either. So we'll go around to the other side of the building. Let's go down Slocum. Or is it Adams Street? Oh. Yeah, so here we are on Adams Street. There's the marina. And those windows are actually showing because they decided to drop the grade down and slowly grade it a little bit lower than the 24.9 around this side of the building, so that they did not have to build those areaways. So that's another example of something that was not done from the original plans. So this it also made it so we did not have to put this retaining wall over here on this side. And then when you look at this area right here, none of that curbing was put in that shows up in the plans right here. None of that was done, but that transformer is there. There's the transformer right there. And the bollards, see how there's bollards around the transformer to protect it so no one runs into it that parks near there. There's where the underground electrical is coming up right there, that little grate in the ground. And this is all that riprap that's being called out in the plans on the erosion control plan. There's the erosion control plan right here. There's calling out the riprap. And riprap is just a bunch of larger stones like this that reduce the amount of runoff that comes off of this hill and down to Adams Street. And here we're seeing that slope that is fairly steep for a road. Steep enough. I wouldn't want it any steeper. Going to about 25 feet up here and down to about 12 feet at this level right here. 12 feet at the lowest. So this gives us a good idea of what was proposed and what actually happened. So I'm going to let you decide what you want to put for there, how involved you'd like to get. What I'm mostly looking for is just name 3 things that changed from when it was surveyed in 2000 to what's proposed in 2002. If you want to dig in a little deeper and see what's different about it from now until then when it was built, then I'd love to see your answers. Question 5, describe where the new transformer pad is to be located on the site. So we would describe that as being on the north side of the northwest corner of Hague Hall, Hague Building, is where that new transformer is. Draw the line weight and pattern being used to identify the SMCC property lines. So let's go to the page that actually has the legend that shows what the property line should look like for, it said proposed property lines right there. That's what our property line should look like. So it's a very thick phantom line. So you're just going to sketch a very thick phantom line, which is a long dash and two short, and then a long dash line, and just sketch that in right next to the question on question 6. How many handicap parking spaces are shown in the site layout plan? So let's go back to the site layout plan, which I think is this one. And we have 2 handicap spaces. Now, just again, because I like this kind of stuff and I like to see what's different about the proposed and the actual existing, we are going to look to see if we can see how many site plans, what do you call it there? Not site plans, but handicap spots there actually are. I'm trying to see if I can go down this road right here. There we go. All right, I want to be like somewhere here so I can look. Let's see, is it going to put me right there? No, it won't put me in the middle. I guess that's the best that I'm going to be able to do. But there is the 1-2 handicap parking, and I believe 2 other spaces were added later on. So if you go there now, there's some additional spaces that are being shown. That I guess there's no cameras down that section of the Google Maps, but there's 2 proposed. And I think there's 4 there now. What does TCE, FGC, and SGC mean? So let's see if we can find that first in our legend. And then I believe we had some call outs for curbing, and I believe that's referencing curbing. I don't see any of those abbreviations here, but we were wanting to verify under drain. This is NUD, so new under drain, new storm drain, new fuel propane, new water line, new underground electrical, L, T, and C. So while we were there, I just wanted to verify that. All right, so let's go back to the site plan. And this is where I think we saw those abbreviations, right? So TCE is tapered granite curb ends. FGC is granite curb flush with pavement, and SGC is new slope granite curb. So you can write those down next to question 8. Question 9. So we're up to here now. Who was the person who prepared the boundary survey and topographical information for SMTC when the information was prepared? So we did see, remember, the name of the person showed up, and I believe there it is right there. So this is the person who prepared it. We have Owen Haskell. And it was prepared September 1st, 2000. How many different types of signs were proposed to be installed on the site plan layout? I think we saw signs on the same page too. There are all of 14 different signs. The grading elevation around the new technology is 24.9. What is the grade outside the ground floor entrance? What is the grade outside the first floor entrance? So there's our grade outside. Where do we see grade information? Not on this plan, but in the erosion and grading and erosion plan. So we're looking for site grading and erosion control. That's where you're going to see all of that height information. So the question is, the grading elevation around the new technology is 24.9 rather. There it is. What is the grade outside the ground floor entrance? This is the ground floor entrance. It's 12 feet above sea level. And what is the grade outside the first floor entrance? First floor entrance is on the other side, and it's 25.54. What does NSD stand for on the site utilities plan? And we can go to our page that shows those abbreviations. NSD is storm drain, new storm drain. And how many new light poles were proposed on the site utilities plan? Now recognize that the new light poles look like that, and the future ones have that symbol. So we only want to count up how many new light poles there were. And we can do that by going to our site and utilities, or is that site layout? Let's check. So I don't see the light poles called out here. I bet you it will be called out in utilities. Yes. Okay, so we have a new light pole, 1, 2, and then, that says new light pole has been drawn in. Let's see if that actually did get done in our view here. There is a light pole over there. So that might have been added in the future. It might have been added then. So we can make that update if you want to. But it wasn't in the plan. So that might have been added instead of all of these other future light poles. That might have been added after the fact. So because that's written in, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Okay, so let's go with 2. 2 new light poles. And if we want to be even more thorough with the answer, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 future light poles. What is detail C4 TC 50.1? So we want to go to TC 50.1 first. There's 50.1, and we want to go to C4. There it is. What is it? It is the areaway drain. And those would be located in such places, like I said, where the fresh air intake is in the areaway next to the mechanical room. 15, last question. What is, there's a typical precast concrete step detail. Where are the precast concrete steps proposed to be placed in the site layout plan? So let's first, since we're on this page, look for C5. There is C5 right there, and it's calling out a set of concrete stairs. And I want to see where those concrete stairs might have been called out in the site plan. So we'll go to the site layout plan, which is the second page. And remember, we had that crosswalk with a set of concrete stairs being called out between the upper and the lower lots. And it says new precast concrete stairs, 4 risers to be shown here. So that is between upper and lower lots. On west side of Ross Tech parking. And there we go. So you've gotten a tour of pretty much everything about this building. So hopefully someday you'll have a chance to come and visit it in person and take a class inside one of the classrooms on the second floor, where we hold our print reading classes and all of our architectural engineering design classes.